The New Japan Cup is beginning this weekend. Very intriguing tournament laid out for us. A couple of weeks ago on stream, I did the whole setup here that you're seeing on screen for those who have the benefit of video right now. I did live all of my picks for the New Japan Cup on this graphic here, which was provided by sportofprowrestling.com, our boy Chris Samsa at the Chris Samsa on the social media, and I was all ready to provide my picks for the pick'em that they're doing over there as well on the New Japan on sportofprowrestling.com, excuse me, but I hadn't sent them in yet, and I'm glad I didn't, because with events that happened over the course of the New Beginning in Osaka and in the lead-in, on the tour, there's a couple of things that sort of switched around, that I changed. And I'm not necessarily going to break down all of the picks here. That would be an exercise that maybe is a little too long. But I think we can focus on my final, on my final four at the very least. And maybe a couple of other people here as well. Because I think there's some very interesting things that are going on right now that have shifted how I see the cup going down. And it's a thing that I had a perception of what things were going to how things were going to go down in the cup, but like I said, now it's kind of changed for me. One thing that hasn't changed is that I still sincerely believe that David Finlay is going to win, and I know there's still a high level of uncertainty in regards to Dave Finlay's continued presence in New Japan, and the fact that he has a bye in this tournament. He has a bye, so he's not getting knocked out in the first round. He's still going to be around, and they've established this idea of a little Bullet Club feud. I don't want to call it a civil war, because that's an old angle, and I don't think that's what we're doing here. I think there might be a little war brewing straight out, as opposed to a civil war. It just might be, we're going to get rid of each other once and for all. And look, regardless of the situation, let's operate under the assumption that David Finlay is sticking around with New Japan and that he's going to be there for a while. I still think he's the guy who this year is going to win the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. I think he's going to take it off of Hiroki Goto. I don't think Goto's going to have a really long reign. I think Finlay, by the time spring rolls around, basically when we get to Dominion, he's going to either win or already be IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. I think that's how it goes, because Finlay, I think his work that he was doing last year was the best of his career. I think they finally found his groove. I think he understands and holds he understands his character a lot better, and his wrestling style has changed to this bully, which is absolutely phenomenal. And he has been doing tremendous work. I have never been that high on Dave Finlay, and he's been winning me over. I don't see him leaving New Japan just yet. You never know, but I don't know what kind of spot he fills in on American soil. I don't know what he does in what promotion. I don't know what people get. I don't know how American fans get behind David Finlay. I think he has a lot more identity to have crossover. And I think the story of him beating Goto for this, while he handed Goto's ass last year, I think that's in front of his children, making his daughter cry and all that, bringing that back and beating Goto again, it's phenomenal storytelling. And the one thing that we must never forget, is that David Finlay has always lost upward. Even when he was never openweight champion, once he was done, they moved him up. He didn't hang around the never title orbit. He moved right up. Global title, loses it, but you're like, did he really lose? We haven't seen him. That's the idea of as well. We haven't seen him since Wrestle Kingdom, really. So I feel like I see the vision. I feel like I see it. And I think Finlay is at a really good spot where he'll be, I feel like he's in a really good spot to have really good main events. I wouldn't have said this a year ago, like date for date, but his latter part of 2024 was just phenomenal stuff. His G1 was really good. His matches as global champion were phenomenal stuff. I'm not going to discount it. And look, Gato has been his guy, like he's been his handler. Every time Gato sort of cozies up to a dude, that dude ends up being world champion. So even the symbolism is there. I wouldn't discount this. And I think David Finlay winning the New Japan Cup, a tournament which a lot of people believed David Finlay was the guy who was supposed to win last year but got injured out. He was supposed to win last year. I think they're running with that plan this year. And I think the seeds are even better than they were last year because I think he's been better. I think his run has been better. I think Goto as a champion is a much more compelling match for him as well than with Zach. You know, I think I'm not sold on, look, I'm not sold on the idea that he's leaving. There has been a lot of talk in the darker corners of Twitter, but I haven't heard anything really convincing. Did I say Twitter? I meant the internet. Yeah, so you know, I'm not entirely unconvinced here that this is not going to be. I think this is his to win this year. Absolutely. I think David Finlay beating Goto for the belt will regress them back to the mediocrity they were before. They need to end Goto's reign with one of the young Japanese guys like Tsuji or Takeshita. Now, you see, you're not seeing the vision. You're not seeing the vision of Dave Finlay defeating fan favorite, lovely dad and all-around hero, Hiroki Goto, and holding the belt until one of the young guys steps up to crush him and become the new hero. That's how you book, man. That's how you book. Think about this. If David Finlay is world champion and wins at Dominion, his next defense is going to be in fucking September, August or September. And we're going to go through the entire G1 and he's going to be one competitor amongst others, right? But his only meaningful defense afterwards is going to be in December. September, January, August or September. I'm good with dates. So it's not as if we're entering this incredibly crucial period where you absolutely have to have a top guy who's drawing or whatnot. No, it's the fucking G1. The G1 draws by itself. The G1 is the draw. The tournament is the draw. And he's going to be in it. And he's going to be one guy amongst the others. And we're going to set up some stories. And we're going to set up a nice through line to get us to Wrestle Kingdom, where his challenger is going to beat him. And hopefully we'll go back to the old system and not do what we did in September, where the G1 winner gets the shot at Wrestle Kingdom, right? Hopefully that's what we do. I wanted Shingo for a good match, but you're suggesting Finlay gives multiple good stories. I mean, I'm putting Shingo in the main event to this because it's going to be a great match. Finlay and Shingo is going to be tremendous, and it's going to give credibility to David Flair because Shingo loses now. That's his thing. Shingo, the Shingo push is over. The main event push, thing of the past. It's fine. But he's going to have a great match with Finley. It's going to be a hard-hitting, tremendous match in which Finley is going to be able to use his power moves, and it's going to look impressive. Like, it's a perfect opponent. They're perfect opponents for each other in this context. And it makes perfect sense. And when you look at the brackets, okay, if we go back a little in the brackets, Finley gets the bye, but then I think fights Evil in the second round, right? Yota Tsuji and Evil. Well, I think Evil goes forward to get the David Finley Evil Bullet Club sort of spat and get that going, but David Finley gets the upper hand because he's fully aware of the antics that the House of Torture are going to pull. So the War Dogs are going to be there and so on and so forth. It's going to be a shit match. It's not going to be the greatest match of the tournament, but that's going to happen there. In the meantime, I have Yuya Uemura coming through, who is one of the hot prospects, right? And he's going to meet David Finley in the quarterfinals, and he's not going to be able to defeat Finley. Finley's just going to be one step ahead, and that's fine. Then we get Finley against Ryohei Oiwa. If you look at Oiwa's trajectory, like he's defeating Chase Owens, right? And then Oiwa versus Zack Sabre Jr., because Zack gets the bye, is a tremendous match. And this is one of the things that I was able, that I switched from when I did the the bracketology a couple of weeks ago, because Zack was still champion at that point, but now he's not champion anymore. And so these are two TMDK guys. I absolutely see Zack going, yeah, I'm going to put my guy over. I'm absolutely going to put my guy over because they have, I think, Oiwa is one of these guys who's ready to step up. Then we have him versus Ren Narita, because yes, I think Ren Narita is defeating Gabe Kidd, and I think he's going to squeeze his way through Taichi. Like he's going to be the shit heel. He's going to be the shit heel who keeps moving forward. It's not going to be, you can't have Evil doing that as well, especially on the same side of the bracket. So we knock out Evil, but we do it with Ren Narita. The surprise guy, the guy that you're not expecting to move forward. Gabe Kidd is, he's got some stuff lined up in the US. So he has to take time. He can't do the tour. Nothing's been announced, but I'm sure, he's got some stuff simmering in AEW. He's going to hang out in the US for a while, hang out with his girlfriend. And Narita beating him is going to be like this nice surprise victory that is going to allow him to move forward. And that Narita, and then Kidd for the rest of the tour, he'll be able to go head to North America and do his stuff with AEW and whatever else, right? I think that's a perfectly reasonable scenario. And then Oiwa beats Narita. We get to Oiwa with Finley, but Finley overpowers Oiwa, and that's fine. Then Oiwa moves forward. And Shingo, well, look, Shingo. I think in this context, it makes for a solid main event. Shingo is very well liked by the Japanese audiences, so he can reasonably draw. I'm not saying like he's this massive draw, but he can reasonably draw. So it makes sense to put him in the main event of the last night. And look at it. Let's take a look at his trajectory. He has the bye. I'm having, Bolt and Oleg go over Bad Luck Fale, which I think that's the easiest surefire win match of the tournament, like result of the tournament, right? And at first I had Oleg going forward, but I switched gears on it because then I was like, well, Drilla Maloney's going to go forward because he's going to beat TJP, right? Former friends from United Empire. It was TJP who brought Drilla Maloney into United Empire, and Drilla Maloney turned on him. So there's history there. I think Maloney goes forward because he's in for a little push. He's going to get a little pushy push. So he's going to fight TJP after dispatching Tomohiro Ishii. And then he moves forward to fight Shingo for their rematch from a few weeks ago. And but in this circumstance, Shingo gets his win back. So I think this all makes sense, and we get some good I'm all for Shingo and Drilla Maloney going at it again. Like, what are we even talking about here? Like, that's tremendous. And then higher on the bracket, El Fantasmo and Great Khan. I have Great Khan moving forward because Shota Umino has a bye, and Shota Umino is coming back repackaged. That's my theory. That's my working theory. So he's coming back repackaged, and he's ready for getting his win back on Great Khan, who, did all the nonsense and shaved his hair, and now he's going to prove that he's the guy, right? At least we hope so. Hopefully this repackaging will do some good. I don't know what it's going to be, or maybe there won't be a repackaging. And if there's not, I'm going to be disappointed. But I'm expecting a repackage. I'm expecting one. And he moves forward. And I think Callum Newman goes forward quite a bit. Yeah, look, I wouldn't be surprised. Here's okay, one thing at a time here. Callum Newman, Tetsuya Naito, they've been having series of singles matches, right? Like, Newman has been trying to overcome Naito, hasn't been quite working out. This might be the time that it works out. He's coming back from injury. I wouldn't be surprised because they're pushing this guy as a heavyweight. I wouldn't be surprised if Callum Newman packed on some pounds. I wouldn't be surprised in the least if Callum Newman comes back from his injury and he's in an entirely different shape, right? He hasn't been doing much media. Sometimes there's a reason for that. I'm not saying that he will. I'm saying don't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back bigger, buffer, looking like a heavyweight, Because I think we can all agree that Callum Newman, good little wrestler, his look, his presentation is a little awkward. This might be a way to even things out. So I think he finally gets his win over Naito. Again, like I don't think Naito can do the singles thing. I think he should stick to his tag team for now. And then Callum defeats Jeff Cobb on top of that, his buddy, his partner, and then moves on against Shota Umino, two young guys. We're doing a lot of the young guys matches too, right? Oiwa and Narita, Umino and Newman, and I think Shota moves forward but gets his ass handed to him by Shingo. Although you could make an argument for Shota to move forward, but in my vision, if David Finlay's in the finals and he's going to win, and if Shota comes back repackaged, and I'm assuming the repackage is going to be maybe with a little heel edge, maybe not the baby face that we knew. New Japan doesn't like booking two heels in a main event for a tournament. Not saying they never do it, saying they don't like it. Makes a lot more sense to have David Finlay clear heel against Shingo, clear babyface. And then on top of that, you get the great match. That's how I think this is going to go down. That's essentially how I think this is going to go down. And I'm very excited to see how a lot of these guys are gonna come through, considering how fresh New Japan feels right now, how it feels like daring right now, how it feels like there's some new spots that have been open for guys just that are whoever wants to take it. I think a guy like Oiwa, like Umera, they have an opportunity to truly shine in this circumstance. I think a guy like Shota Umino has a lot to prove still, and maybe there's going to be a lot of eyes on that on the second round. There's going to be a lot of eyes on Shota Umino to see what exactly his next move is, what he's going to look like. Oleg might not get very far, but if he continues off of the momentum of his match with Konosuke Takeshita and delivers big time, I mean, what more do you want? A lot of young guys here, and Drilla Maloney. We sort of have to insert him into the conversations here too. Perfect timing for his push. I'm excited to see how all of this is going to come together. Like this, yeah, it's a very interesting New Japan Cup, and we of course are going to cover it here on the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. I'll be watching it with great interest because I love tournament wrestling. I love tournament wrestling, and you should love it too. God damn it! Oh, we'll keep an eye on it. We'll circle back.